This is the Global Economic Commodities Scrap Metal and Recycling Report by our Bentley Roll-Up Trailers and Gondola Trailers Scrap Haulers, March 14, 2022. U.S. weekly crude steel production rose to 1.762 million tons. This was on slow economic growth and cheaper imports that took market share. WTI crude oil price fell to $109.33 a barrel, down 5.7% for the week. OPEC may increase production, and there are Iran and Venezuela discussions to increase their exports. High oil prices are bad for U.S. consumers, but great for U.S. oil company investors. U.S. weekly crude oil production remained steady at 11.6 million barrels per day, still down 1.5 million from pre-COVID. Oil companies are ready to slightly increase production, but they like the low production because it brings higher prices to reward those shareholders. The U.S. weekly oil rig count rose to 527 as high prices are slowly bringing on more rigs. Scrap steel number one HMS price settled at $531.67 a gross ton. This was on strong demand caused by a massive supply disruption of pig iron from Russia and Ukraine. Hot rolled coil steel price rose to $59.02 per hundredweight, which is $11.80 a ton, and that's with higher input costs across the board. Copper price fell to $4.61 a pound as demand remains robust and inventories in production remain low. Aluminum price fell to $1.67 a pound, which is $36.81 a metric ton. This was as demand remains robust and Russian export disruptions are worsening. Euro area fourth quarter 2021 GDP. Reminder, the Euro area's economy is about the size of the U.S.'s economy. It expanded at a strong 4.6% versus last year. U.S. March U of M Consumer Sentiment Index. It fell to 59.7, the lowest since November 2011. This was as inflation expectations rose and gasoline prices hit a record high. U.S. February annual inflation rose 7.9%, the highest since January 1982, and could get worse. Gasoline surged 40% in January alone, and food was up 7.9% versus last year. Ukraine and Russia were major wheat, nickel, and pig iron exporters, which has now stopped. That's going to make inflation worse. U.S. January trade deficit. It widened, it became worse to hit $89.7 billion, a new record high. Higher energy costs pushed imports to a record high. Imports of oil, passenger cars, copper, and food all increased. U.S. January job openings fell slightly to 11.26 million, near the record. Food services declined, but other services and manufacturing increased. Wall Street's Dow Jones Industrial Average. It fell 671 points to 32,944, the fifth consecutive weekly loss. This was as the U.S. banned Russian oil and others are not buying it, which raised oil prices. Also, inflation, Russian trade restrictions overall, and lower consumer sentiment all hurt the markets. Gondola trailers are for sale by Ben Lee. 48-foot long, 8-foot high walls, and walls made of hardocks with floors as well, are now back in stock after months of steel shortages. As always, feel free to call or email me with any questions, and we hope all have a safe and profitable week.